you play a lot of games and the tradition has just been like, just light that guy up, hit him anywhere. Maybe a headshot is important, or maybe they even do like location-specific damage. But we're taking that a lot further and really building the game around that, in that you have to have intent in where you're shooting, right? You have to be strategic about it.
Strategic dismemberment is our main mechanic in Dead Space. It's what you use to kill the enemies, basically. Instead of just headshots or body shots, you got to dismember these guys.
We wanted something that wasn't just fire blindly and sort of light things up, and you've got a bunch of guns and you just sort of overwhelm dudes. We wanted the player to feel sort of just powerful enough and to use a lot of improvisation.
Wouldn't it be cool if you cut off their legs and they kept crawling at you? If they cut off your head and they still came at you a different way. And we went deeper and deeper into that, and it just felt like something really new and really cool.
You think about horror movies, right? And it's like when they're being chased, people are always required to do more fine movements, like get the car keys in the lock and like start or dial the phone or whatever. Like big swing and punch, and that's not as big. Like trying to pull off something finer under stress is more scary.
It started to inform what our enemies looked like. You just couldn't have an enemy without tentacles or legs or things like that, because if dismemberment is the key to the game, it starts to tell you that you got to have enemies that have pieces to dismember.
So from the very start, once we had adopted the strategic dismemberment as sort of our core gameplay mechanic when it came to our shooting, we developed all of our weapons and tools to work with that system in a very specific way.
When I have a couple of slashers coming up to me, I'll probably take out their legs with the plasma cutter, or I might even switch to plasma cutter. So that kind of turns, and I can cut off their arms, so I know that they're not going to attack me that way.
If you take the pregnant, right? So there's a bad guy that's got an area you definitely don't want to shoot. So you're probably not going to want to use any of our tools that have an area effect or do something like that, because you're going to hit parts you don't want to by accident. Now, it's not that he's resistant or more or less than whatever, but strategically, you need to sort of be thinking that way.
Personally, when I see that one of the pregnants come up, what I want to use is stasis on them, and then I want to cut off their legs with a line gun. My favorite
dismemberment in terms of really seeing the cause and effect and changing things is cutting off a necromorph's head.
You cut off his head, and he's just going to come at you wildly. I mean, he's blinded, but he still knows you're around.
And he can sort of upset the herd, right? If you got like 3 guys around, you sort of take off one guy's head, then he starts to wail and flail and come at you, and that can sort of affect the whole battle in a way that sort of upsets things, and you don't get this sort of group coming at you all organized anymore. Plus, it just looks really cool.
But decapitation is not necessarily the best way to go about some of them. Matter of fact, it just pisses some of them off.
The weapons and the whole strategic dismemberment thing works differently in Zero-G, just like everything works differently in Zero-G.
There's one called the Leaper, and you'll see him coming at you in Zero-G. And what I love to do is kind of stasis him, so he's slowing down a bit, and then cut off his arms, and then you kind of just see him float past you.
We're constantly trying to keep people in that sort of scared, tense zone, right? And so just think about it. You've got 4 bullets left. How are you going to work that out? And that's interesting and sort of scary, because you're like, if you get the first one right, now you only need 1 more, but then you missed it, and now, I gotta hit that one. And you're sort of always going back and forth, and you see that number counting down. Now you only got 2. What are you gonna do, buddy?
It's also really key that I can dismember parts of these guys, like their arms, and then I can actually use that as a weapon. I can cut off their arm and use my TK gun and then shoot that back at them.
What has me really excited about strategic dismemberment, just as a thing that we've sort of accomplished, is I like shooters. I play a lot of them, right? But it tends to be, there's a guy, take him down, bink. Okay, there's a guy, take him down, bink, and you just sort of do it, and you might kill thousands of dudes the exact same way the whole time. And this strategic dismemberment thing brings a thought process and and a variety and excitement to stuff that I think is pretty special and I'm pretty proud of.